Welcome back to Super Castlevania 4. I'm Mike Rowe, and at this part we're gonna be is it gonna be like episode 5? I think shuffled shit with episode 5 once. It was real fun, but at any rate, this is Dracula's treasure room, and we're gonna be going through it for a moment here. Bunch of ghosts coming down from the bottom, so you wanna, well, they don't actually do anything, so yeah, I'm not gonna do this for the whole thing. I think I'm going to turn this down for myself just a little, but this is like Dracula's treasure room. This level's kind of cool. I think this is James Rolfe's favorite level in the game, but I know it's been a while since I've watched anything from him. But this level it's not super hard, but it can be tough in certain areas, so you gotta really be on your guard. Like, at this point, the difficulty of this game is in full motion. This is the second to last level, so go figure. No, it's the third to last level. I don't know, I get the last few levels in this game will kind of blend together for me. I don't mean that in a bad way, I just sort of mean like once you get to this point, it's just like super intense. And it kind of gets hard to, I don't know where I'm going with this, but this part right here, I have never figured out how you're supposed to get up there. I guess that's the closest I've ever gotten, but that stupid bat gets in the way, and yeah. See, the thing is, with those little platforms, you're supposed to jump on them to get to other parts of the level, but when you jump on them, they start to disappear. My recommendation is to jump off of them immediately after you jump on them, so that you can make sure that you don't fall. There are parts of this level where you have to keep jumping on these platforms over a bottomless pit. Yeah, do what I do here. That'll help you out a lot. These skeletons, this level likes to place them next to bottomless pits. So like after you get through all these platforming sections, but right here, I am using the axe. You see that, Eco Raptor? I'm using the sub-weapons in this game. They're not totally useless. But I digress. So you'll be over the platforming sections, and then all of a sudden you'll get to the end, and then one of those golden skeleton enemies will come up and knock you straight into the pit. And when I first played this game, I had trouble with that. This level gave me a lot of shit the first time, but now, since I've learned to do this jumping technique on these platforms, it's not really that bad, once you know to do that. This guy right here, kill them immediately, or you will die. And the first checkpoint, we just reached it. It's kind of long from the beginning. There are not nearly as many spikes in this level, so for that reason I think it's better than the level we just finished, with the dungeon level that I hate so much. But it could still be pretty tricky, and there I missed the, I don't know, bat hook thing? I don't know what they're called. But these little holes in those stalagmites will suck you in. There's one in particular that actually leads to a secret area, and I'll be showing that off. I discovered it by complete accident, and I'm sure you could probably too. I think there was a turkey up there, so it's kind of unfortunate I didn't make it up there. I don't know, what is it, a pot roast? Turkey? They've always looked like turkeys to me, so that's just what I've called them. I think the manual calls them pot roasts. It's like how in Streets of Rage, the food that you get is called beef, but it looks like beef in the first game, but in the second and third games it looks like a turkey. I don't know. These stupid white dragons. They're such a pain in the ass in the old games. But in this game, you have the... I don't even need to say. You guys know what I'm going to say. They're so much easier to hit because of the whip control. But, there's not really too much to say about this level. It's pretty straightforward. And, yeah, these stacking blocks reminds me of one level in particular from Castlevania 3 that when I first played that game, I was stuck on that for like days, man. I'd play the game sort of on and off, and I managed to make it to Dracula. Many times, but I could not beat him for the life of me. Because the problem with that game is, when you reach Dracula, yeah, this is the secret area I was talking about. It's got all sorts of sub-weapons in it that you can choose from. If you get sucked in those holes, you leave those. So you want to make sure you get what you want before exiting the room. But when you make it to Dracula in the third game, in every other frickin' game in the series, to my knowledge, besides Castlevania 3, you get a checkpoint. So that means that if you reach Dracula, then if you get a game over, you just start at Dracula. Which, you know, was great, because that I don't want to have to keep redoing the level when the final boss is like super ridiculously fucking hard. But in Castlevania 3, it's just retarded, because what they do is, in the Japanese version, okay, in both versions of the game, if you get a game over on Dracula, they send you back to the beginning of the stage. Okay, that's obnoxious, but it's not the worst thing ever. But in the North American European version, they made it so that in the Japanese version there was a checkpoint, like directly before Dracula. Like you go through one of those wooden doors that signifies a checkpoint, and then you walk up the grand staircase to Dracula. But in the North American European version, they took out the checkpoint on that door. So that means that if you die on Dracula, you get sent halfway back through the level to redo that half all over again, and then kill 3 stages of Dracula. So that means... and you die in 4 hits. You can see why that's kind of a problem. That's the reason I've never beaten Castlevania 3. I managed to get all the way to Dracula without using the help me code. But, you know, like after dying on Dracula for like the 500th time, I was just like, I'm done with this bullshit. Why do I keep getting sent back halfway across the level because of this? That's obnoxious. Like even if you're someone who's more okay with NES hard difficulty, you gotta admit that that's a little ridiculous. I mean, like, again, Castlevania 3 is not a terrible game, but it just makes some bad design choices sometimes that make it just a lot less fun to play than it could have been. But I digress. This boss is deceptively difficult, I think. You'd think it couldn't be too hard. It's just a giant bat made out of gold and diamonds, but what happens is whenever you hit it, it'll drop a bunch of gold around him. And that gold will hurt you. So in order to actually hit him, you have to stand onto him. This first part of the boss is pretty easy, but this next part is much harder. These little 3 teeny tiny bats will still drop gold around them, but they'll also shit little gold pellets down at you, which will hurt you for a deceptively high amount of damage. So that means that you have to stand under them and try to hit them while they're also trying to shit on you. It's just obnoxious, and I don't know. Usually this boss... oh, I get... one more hit and I would have been dead. That was so close. Usually this boss fucks me up a couple of times. Like, when I played this with Alonzo last year, I died like... I almost got a game over. Luckily, in the room right before this, there are tons of little bags that are just full of points that you can get. So, you know, you can keep getting extra lives if need be. So that's it. There's at least that, you know. And that level's alright. Not one of my favorites, but not one of my least favorites either. It's somewhere in the middle. Oh, by the way, remix of Bloody Tears. But at any rate, ladies and gentlemen, I've got something a little special for you. Check it out. My god, ladies and gentlemen, this level kicked my ass. And usually I don't have that much trouble with it. I don't know what the fucking deal was. You saw that, like, there's just gonna be this part coming up where you have to, like, jump off of this rotating gear onto a platform to the side, and I kept jumping in this little alcove right next to it and falling into a bottomless pit. And I don't know, that has never happened to me before. And it happened like 5 times in this level when I got 2 game overs on this level. So, again, be grateful that I'm cutting out all the bullshit for you guys, but just another reason why it was worth it to do this post, I think, but... So, this is the typical Castlevania Clock Tower level. Like, if you've ever played a Castlevania game before, I don't care what it is. If you're playing Lords of Shadow, if you're playing Symphony of the Night style Metroidvania games, if you're playing the classic series, there's always a clock tower level. Always. There is no exception. And one thing that they did here that I thought was pretty nice is when you stand on those rotating gear platforms that are like flat, like this one I'm on right now, you'll actually swirl, you know, clockwise around it. You'll go in a circle around it. Like Simon will go to one end and then he'll turn around and go to the other end. And for some reason they don't have that in any of the other games. Like even in Symphony of the Night, in Symphony of the Night you'll go all the way to the right and then just stop. Okay, wait until that little mini platform is above you. Why is that there? It's so retarded. I hate that that's there. Alright, my advice, if you can swing up, you can land right on the stairs and completely avoid that guy. And again, taking on the stupid Axe Knights is so much easier. And I also was using the dagger there. Again, the sub-weapons are not completely useless in this game. Alright, this, I always forget that's there. I always forget that I've played this game so many times and I can't seem to remember that there's a giant fucking gear that comes down and chases you. But yes, that does exist, so you wanna... It's not really that tough to dodge, you just... For the first one, when you see it, when it starts coming after you, just go back down the stairs and you'll be fine. With the second one, as long as you're up on the ledge, it won't hit you. This is kind of dickish placement, because you gotta kill this guy or he'll knock you off of the rings, and then you'll fall down. But, you know, like in the same place where you have to hit the white dragon, is also where the whip swing things are, so that's kind of annoying. And this level is pretty tough, I think. I mean, it's not as tough as the dungeon level, but it'll definitely test your skills. I honestly, and again, like I usually don't have as much trouble with it as I did in this run. I totally blame the Let's Play curse on that one. Usually I might get like one game over, but usually I don't die this many times. I think it's a pretty reasonably challenging level, honestly. It has a couple of bad enemy placement moments, but nothing too terrible. I enjoyed this level. I also like the remix of Bloody Tears here. Again, the music in this game is fucking awesome. It may not be as classic or retro, quote-unquote, as the NES games, but I think the instrument quality is really good here. I think the variety, there's so much more atmosphere in this soundtrack than there was before. I mean, it may not be as catchy as the older games, but I think that the atmosphere more than makes up for it. Like, you honestly feel you're going through the Transylvanian countryside with tons of evil killer monsters going after you, you know what I mean? They really nailed it here. The soundtrack in this game is fucking awesome. I'm not sure if I'd call it the best in the series, but it's really damn good. Now this boss is I'm not sure if I'd call him easy or hard. I guess he's kind of in the middle. It's easy to get knocked off here, like you saw in the bullshit reel. So what you want to do is, if you use your flail, you can destroy all the projectiles that he shoots at you most of the time. I recommend sticking in this left corner, because if he hits you while you're on the little platform down at the bottom left, then you don't suffer knockback like I'm about to here. Yeah, it's coming. You know it's coming. There it is. Ugh. And I was this close to doing this level on my first try with that particular continue, you know. But again, this mummy really. Yeah, see, like, again, remember the trick I taught you guys. If you hold the jump button, your character, Simon, will stay put, and you can whip diagonal up without moving. And it's something that actually fucked me up on some platforming sections, especially in the next level coming up, is before I used to hold down the jump button as I was pressing it, whereas now I've learned to just sort of tap it, you know, and that works a lot better. So when I first played this, I kept finding myself not being able to move while a platform was falling down or something. So, you know, just my advice for any platforming game in general, tap the button, don't mash it. Tap it just long enough for you to get the fullest height for your jump. Oh, I died twice? Whoops. I should have edited that out. Well, I guess you guys get to see more of it. Not much I can do at this point. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, this version of the Mummy is relatively easy to take out, not nearly as god-awful as the one in Rondo of Blood, which is deceptively frickin' hard. Like, you sound that one of the attacks this Mummy has is that he'll, like, hurl his bandages at you, and those hurt you for some reason, because apparently Mummy bandages hurt you. I'm not sure of how that works, but in Rondo of Blood, you have, like, this big boss rush, and the Mummy shows up about, like, 3 bosses in, and he'll hurl his bandages at you, and they do a lot of damage, and they're really hard to dodge. And considering that you're fighting, like, 4 other bosses back-to-back along with it, it's really fucking hard, but I don't know. At any rate, I'll see you guys in the next part, episode 6, the finale. We will be taking out Dracula, we will be saving Transylvania. I'll see you guys next time.